Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are joining us from. Welcome to the Crypto Queen Perspective, where we explore the people, ideas, and innovations shaping the future of digital assets, blockchain technology, and the broader financial landscape. I'm your host, Danella Draper, also known as Crypto Queen, and today we're diving into an incredibly important topic: security, privacy, and digital identity, which are becoming increasingly critical as our lives and financial systems move further into the digital world. Before we begin, a quick reminder that the content shared on this show is for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing discussed here should be considered financial advice. Always do your own research and make decisions based on your own financial situation and risk tolerance. All right, so with that done, now let's get into today's conversation. Today, I am extremely pleased to welcome Graeme Speak, an entrepreneur, technologist, founder of BankVault. Let's add Graeme to the stage. Hey, Graeme, how are you doing?
Yes, good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
So Graeme is the driving force behind VanishingPoint Security and MasterKey technologies designed to make digital interactions effectively invisible to hackers and surveillance. VanishingPoint is a virtual machine and encrypted input to ensure sessions remain secure, even on compromised devices or unsecured networks. So while MasterKey delivers passwordless, invisible multi-factor authentication, and that's a lot to say, for wallets, exchanges, and banking platforms, BankVault holds 14 granted patents and is backed by Turing Award laureate Whitfield Diffie, co-inventor of the Diffie-Hellman cryptographic protocol. The company has been recognized globally, including the top 60 startups at Slingshot 2025. Congratulations on that. Best overall innovation in the Indo-Pacific International Maritime Defense Expo, and top fintech startup at Silicon Valley Forum World Cup Tech Challenge. So with offices around the world or around the globe, San Francisco, Perth, Graeme and BankVault team are working at the frontier of cybersecurity, redefining how we protect digital identity assets and communications. Graeme, welcome to the Crypto Queen Perspective. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here
I've got to
today.
say, listening to all of that, it's like, wow, it sounds like a lot of stuff. We're just like a team of engineers, and we're just literally focused, working hard. That's it. And over time, you end up getting some recognition. And I just got to tell you, we work really hard, and we've been doing this for a long time. So I know my patch. I'm not sure I'm an expert on everything, but I know my patch really well.
Yeah, thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to have an expert of your caliber on the show. But before we dive in, for those that are tuning in live, feel free to drop your questions in the chat throughout the conversation, and we'll aim to bring some of them into the discussion toward the end of the show. We'll always love hearing from the community. So with that said, let's dive in to the conversation. Graeme, let's start with your journey. What path led you into cybersecurity, ultimately to founding VanishingPoint?
We were actually stumbling backwards into it. We were never set out to do this. And I think this is one of the reasons why our team has come up with some very innovative ideas, which counter to the way that most of the industry actually has been thinking. So we were, I run an innovation team. We've been developing new foundational technologies for a long time. as I said, you said 14 patents, actually 15 patents now.
Yeah.
Probably 35, 40 innovations, and these are all like new tech. What we were doing was really clever. When Amazon Web Services was building virtual machines in 30 to 40 minutes, we worked out how to do that in 2 seconds. So to build a pristine new machine instantly, and that patent, I got to say, is actually granted worldwide now. So it's real. It's really cool tech. And there's probably a lot of companies now infringing that patent because everything that we do online now is using virtual machines. We were finding, trying to convince a business to actually move off their existing PC server network and use our cloud, really long sales cycle. It was typically 10 months. And that's what you call in Silicon Valley the chasm of death. You're never going to get explosive growth. It works really well. I mean, I could do your entire PC server network for probably 1/10 or even 100th of the cost of what you're paying now, which sounds incredible, but it's real. But for me to convince you is going to take 10 months. And we were going to die. You can have great tech, but unless you can get the sales and get market traction quickly, you won't get the funding, etc. So we actually pivoted, and it was by accident. I had a phone call from a real estate agent in Australia. He had the fear of God put into him by the government because their trust accounts were being hacked successfully by hackers. And this is despite having 2-factor authentication. And he needed a solution. And it was one of those situations where he was literally breaking down my door for an answer because he was desperate. And the funny story was I had on my desk, a little Raspberry Pi. It's like a $50 computer. It had been sitting there for 2 years. We built it as a very, very cheap computer. And the only thing it would do is connect to our data center, build a virtual machine in a second, and have it appear on screen. So you're now working on a remote computer. So when this guy was talking to me about his issue, it's like, well, I know 99.99% of cyber attacks by volume target the end user's PC and smartphone. That's the attack surface. They can't access the bank's servers because that's behind the firewall. And that's the same with every network. So rather than use his own computer, why don't I just give him this little Raspberry Pi? So I did. We came back after Christmas and he absolutely loved it. He understood it. It was practical. And I thought, and then I realized that actually trust accounts are really important. I mean, if you're a trustee of a trust account, you're potentially managing millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars of other people's money. And you are personally liable. In fact, you are liable within 24 hours. If money goes missing, you don't replace it. The government steps in and shuts you down. You're now out of business. And 2 lawyers have told me they think they would go to jail. So this is a really searingly burning, bleeding neck problem. And we had a very basic, simple solution to it. And we started getting traction. It actually was selling like hotcakes, and it was like unbelievable. We won Top FinTech Startup Worldwide in 2016 in Silicon Valley's World Cup at Microsoft's campus. So got a lot of recognition out of that. We actually signed Equifax to sell our product worldwide. Equifax is a mega company. 12-month negotiations, deal signed. 3 days before launch, Equifax suffered the largest hack in cybersecurity history. 163 million Americans lost all their private data to the hackers. So the entire team we were dealing with in Sydney, North Sydney, actually abandoned ship. So we had the signed contract, and not a single person at Equifax was left who knew what we were doing. And so I'm going a long winding story here, but the thinking that we had of building virtual machines and not using your device was foundational. It's basic, and it actually solves a lot of issues. You're not going to use this for everything, but when you've got something that is actually critically important, that your career or your family's future depends on this next transaction being secure, anonymous, untraceable, you'd use VanishingPoint. And so we're about 5 or 6 generations further on since we were in 2016. And what we're providing now is something that anybody can use with a click. There's no software. There's nothing to download, install, configure. It just works. And
Yes,
you'll understand. I'll give you a demonstration later. But
yeah, we're going to have a demo later in the show. But the name Vanishing Point fascinates me. So I think you've kind of gone through what it represents online, but philosophical, it is technically you vanish, right? And we'll go through that demo.
Yeah, we make you invisible to hackers or surveillance, even on a compromised device or an unsecured network.
Yeah. So what are the biggest security vulnerabilities that individuals are seeing? Because you kind of covered off like organizations, but what are the vulnerabilities that individuals are facing today?
So I'll give you some specific examples. 12 months ago, in April last year, ABC News, Channel 7 News, the headline news around Australia was that 30,000 Australian banking passwords have been found for sale on the dark web. Mm-hmm. And this was really interesting because they weren't stolen from the bank. They were stolen from people's own devices. At the same time, the same week, Forbes released a report that stated that 19 billion passwords, credentials, had been stolen from people's devices and were now for sale on the dark web. That same week again, a company called Flare Labs released a report that said the incidence of info stealer infections had risen 500% since April 2024 in 12 months. And so even though you kind of glaze over with massive numbers, but some of these things actually any professional should set up and take attention to. It's actually a serious issue. And the problem is, as I said at the beginning, most cyber attacks out there are going to target your PC or smartphone or tablet. And the info stealer infections, which is the broad category now, this is typically legitimate code. It's allowed to be there. It's executing and just doing the wrong thing. So for example, it could be some JavaScript in your browser. So every website today uses JavaScript. It's the way the web works. Your browser is designed to run JavaScript instantly. That bit of code comes through, but instead of doing what it's meant to do, it's now sitting there as effectively as a keylogger, looking at your screen, recording everything you're doing, and sending it off to perhaps a drop server in Romania. And you'll have no idea about this. It's not a virus, so you can't pick this up. It's not really malware. It's what we call non-malware, legitimate code doing the wrong thing. So the goal of the hacker is to steal your identity. You'll only lose your digital identity once, and it destroys lives. And I can give you countless examples. So the bottom line of this is when you're doing anything online, you really do need to be taking precautions and being very conscious of what you're doing. And you can be lackadaisical about a lot of things, but when it involves money, financial transactions that can be redirected, your health information, it's actually really serious. And a lot of people out there are just so lackadaisical about this. And that's only because they don't know the stories of what happens.
Yeah, so that's a great point and good segue to my next question, the digital identity and privacy. So how has the concept of digital identity evolved over the past decade?
I would liken it to, when we grow up as kids, we're told to walk out on the road and look to the left, look to the right, look to the left again, or depending which continent you're in, right, left, right. Because the road is a really dangerous place. Over the decades that I've been involved with the internet, and it's since almost the beginning, like you could go out there and you can hang around, but it's more and more dangerous now. So when people are actually out there naively putting all their private data out there on social media, we're all hearing about this. I mean, I know that your audience is fairly sophisticated, so I don't have to tell you everything, but you don't want everything about you online. I mean, when you're ringing your bank, what's your date of birth? What's your middle name? What was your mother's maiden name? Oh my God, that is so simple to capture. honestly, a high school student with ChatGPT will work this out in 30 minutes and be hacking you.
Yeah.
It is nothing, right?
Yeah.
It's very easy to capture your login credentials to your bank account. The moment I do, I'm now one step away from tricking you to revealing your second factor, which I can do because I've got control of your browser. It's social engineering, and I've got you.
Yes.
And you've got to now, you think the bank's going to reimburse you, but honestly, they have no intention to reward your lackadaisical security practices. So there's going to be an investigation. It's going to take some time, and it might be a credit card they'll reimburse, but they don't have any intention of the rest. And meanwhile, you are unable to buy stock, you can't pay rent, you're technically insolvent.
Yeah, thank you. So I guess if we look at Web3, and because blockchain promises a lot of decentralization and security.
Yeah.
However, do you believe most users actually understand the risks involved?
I think there's huge opportunity and promise in Web3, and we are definitely moving to this, and probably adopting it in a much more savvy way than everybody was blindly adopting things in 2017, 2018. The foundational issue, the blockchain, let's assume that we don't have quantum computing yet, and the blockchain is immutable. Where do things go wrong? Well, let me ask you, why is so much money stolen from exchanges each year? I can tell you what the numbers were in 2018, just off the top of my head. It was $9 to $23 million per day on average.
Wow.
That was in the first 2 or 3 months of 2018. This is what was reported. Most individuals never report to a central authority. There's reputational damage. It's incredibly embarrassing for you personally, in front of your family as well, just to let them know that you've actually lost the house, lost all the your life savings. It's typically everything. And because of the industry I'm in, I get approached by a lot of people for help, and every single time I'll do a talk, I'll be approached by at least one person quietly afterwards to say how they, a family member, or their company was hacked. And it's always everything. And it is devastating. So what I think people would really like to know is, where is the threat coming from? And the threat comes from your own device. You'll never know if your computer is compromised. You have to take the position of assuming that if it is, how can I do this transaction now without revealing my credentials? Now, as I said at the beginning, I'm using banking as an example, but crypto is exactly the same. If you, when you're entering in a password, and there's a keylogger, InfoStealer malware, and it's reading your clipboard, it's reading your keystrokes, it's reading your screen. How do you solve that? And a funny thing, I remember some people are really tuned into this. I think probably about 15% of people on average on the street are. 85% of the people, I can talk to them and it's like, yeah, it's interesting, but it's never going to happen to me. I can give those people my product for free. They're still not going to use it. It's just,
Yeah, that's true. So I think this might be a good segue for you to share the screen and give a little demo of what actually Vanishing Point does, because at this point it's like we've talked and people are probably like, well, what is the product? They're probably sitting on the edge of their seat going, well, what is this product he's talking about? I mean, I've got lots of questions, so I can keep asking questions.
The demo is going to take a couple of seconds. And
let me add that to the stage. So for those that have just started to tune in, I've seen some more people have just tuned in. We're talking about Vanishing Point, and we're with Graeme Speak today from Vanishing Point, and he's about to walk us through the software that he has called Vanishing Point.
So we're going to make an assumption here. Let's suppose, as I said earlier, you've got a transaction to do that is your career now depends on, your family's future. And the question you're asking yourself is, well, how do I know that my computer, if my computer is hacked or not? And the answer is you won't. So let's assume that it is. What do? Don't use it. Go down the street, buy a brand new laptop, use it once and throw it away, and do that for every transaction. Now, that's impractical to do with a physical computer, but we can actually use the cloud to do that. So I'm going to do this right now. So I'm going to go up here to VanishingPoint Pro. It's one of our products. I'm going to literally click a button here, and what it's done, oops, hang on a second. It's building a virtual machine. It did that in 1 second. There was a couple of second delay there while it did a handshake with my browser. So this is a pristine new machine. This machine has never existed before, and this machine is invisible from the internet. This is built out there in a data center somewhere. That remote computer is, the desktop of that is actually streamed as an image into my browser. So my browser here is acting like a dumb television screen. There it is. It's just my browser. And I'll just give the analogy, to extend the analogy here, you can't hack a television station from your own TV. That's impossible. And nothing here on my local computer, if it is infected, can inject code into that remote machine. Okay, this is a stream of pixels. And you can't hack a stream of pixels. It's as simple as that. It's an encrypted connection. Encryption is not broken. I'm going to do some banking transactions now. So I'm going to launch, for example, Firefox. And I'm going to go to my bank. My bank is NetBank. This is the Commonwealth Bank of Australia. I'm in Australia right now. I'm normally based in San Francisco, but here we are in Australia.
This is not an advertisement for CommBank.
No, we all have our issues with CommBank. My bank account number is 123456. I'm going to enter my password now, but if I've got a keylogger on my computer, I'll never know. It will be picking up everything I'm doing. It'll be looking at my clipboard, etc. So I don't want to use my computer. So how do I get around this? Well, I've got on my screen, if I pull this away, I've got a QR code. Now, this QR code, if I scan that with my phone camera, it will actually launch the browser on my phone and convert my browser into a keyboard. Now, we're doing this live. If your audience would like to try to do this now, they can scan this and experience this in their own hands right now. And I'll just leave that there for a moment.
Yeah.
Janelle, you could do this as well with your phone.
Well, I can, but if the audience are watching on their phone, they might not be able to do it. But if they're on a laptop, so I can see this. I now have, I don't know if you can see the audience, but what's come up is BankVault there, and I've got the keyboard, the virtual keyboard.
So we can do it in parallel, so multiple people can do this at the same time.
Great.
And what I'm going to do, I'll bring this back now.
Yeah, perfect.
So on that keyboard, the keyboard on your phone now is, and I'll just hold up mine, so I've got it there, you can see it. That keyboard is just an illusion. There is no keyboard. It's a photograph. What we're doing is we're setting up encoded cells on the screen. So if I touch the cell above the photograph of the letter A, instead of generating one character in the phone, A, I'm going to generate perhaps 48 characters. And the only place in the universe that can actually decipher that is this virtual machine that has never existed and is invisible from the internet. It's got the security secret. So it deciphers it, becomes a letter A, and if it's in the password field, it goes back on my screen as an asterisk. So Jenna, if you keep touching your screen on your phone, and anybody else that's done this, you'll just see, it is only asterisks. You are effectively a hacker on my desktop right now, looking at everything that's going on, and all you're ever going to see is an image of an asterisk. Okay, if I press login now, password's probably wrong. Oh my goodness me, this machine is frozen.
It could be because there's multiple people.
It could be, yeah. I'm not sure why it's actually frozen. Oh, it's just the browser. The concept is there. So you would log into your bank. I mean, obviously it wouldn't work with that anyway. It was the wrong password. when I
Yeah.
want to log off, if I just hit log out, that entire environment evaporates without trace.
Yeah.
So there's no cookies, there's no breadcrumbs. I'm secure, anonymous, and untraceable from any hackers or trackers. And if I press the button again, I'm going to go back. I'm going to build a completely new machine, pristine new machine without any history. So there is no actual single attack surface here.
Yeah.
Now, if I launch, for example, say the Brave browser, I want to do my crypto transaction. Now, Brave has in it a HD wallet, hierarchical deterministic wallet. I can reconstruct my wallet. I'll just click to say, yes, I understand. I'll proceed. And now with my invisible encrypted keyboard, into my 12-word recovery phrase, reconstruct my wallet. Again, you guys are effectively hackers on my computer. You're only ever going to see asterisks. I'll also add that the only place when I was doing the username password that you can merge what you typed with your invisible encrypted keyboard on your phone and the keyboard I have on my computer, the only place in the universe that can merge these together is this virtual machine that has never existed before and is invisible from the internet. There is no single attack surface. Now, I can, from here, I can do my transaction. I might transfer something from my wallet into my exchange, I can log into my exchange here using the invisible encrypted keyboard. Foundation point here, you can defeat two-factor authentication. It actually happens every day. But if you can never intercept the password, that fundamentally changes the dynamics of cybersecurity. So I can now log into my bank and pull that money out as well. And when I'm finished, click log out, and that machine evaporates without trace. This is really so simple.
Yeah, it is so simple, and it's something that protects the security. So I guess good segue to how do people sign up to use this, and what are the costs involved, Graeme? And just for full transparency, today this show was sponsored by Vanishing Point, and I also do have an affiliate link for this. But if you could go, and if anyone wants the affiliate link, please send me a message or pop in a comment. I'll give you a follow and give you the link. But yeah, this one is specifically for the invisible crypto wallet. So could you walk us through what the options are, please?
Yeah. And probably something I skipped over and I should have mentioned earlier.
Okay.
I know the gold standard for crypto is to be offline, which is why we use hardware wallets, air gapped. Some of these things are not really air gapped, in my technical opinion, but it's kind of as good as you can get. The thing is, for me personally, I'm never going to talk anybody out of using a hardware wallet, but for me personally, it's not convenient. I travel a lot. I know I will go through customs at some point somewhere, and that will be removed, and I have no way of getting it back. I know that hardware will always fail eventually. So for me personally, I don't like using hardware. I don't like any dependence on hardware. I will need my recovery phrase, and I'll end up getting another device and plugging that 12-word recovery phrase in. But why not instead key it into a computer, which is a virtual computer that is invisible from the internet, that is inaccessible from the internet? And if people want to understand that a little bit more, we're using a technology called IP masquerading, or also called network address translation. This is foundational for what the internet is. There are plenty of networks out there that use this technology so that you can have 32,000 computers behind a single IP address. It works one way. It's like a one-way mirror. So this is why I'm saying if you run a software wallet inside an invisible virtual machine, it's really doesn't have a single attack surface. I mean, it would be incredibly difficult to compromise. And I will add that no self-respecting cybersecurity expert would say something is unhackable, but it would be incredibly unlikely, and there are much softer targets. So just be really pragmatic about that. You asked about let me give the technology a plug for a second.
Yes.
So the website's vanishingpointsecurity.com. If you could follow the link that Janella sends you, then we can actually at least track and know where our sales and support needs to come from. If you go to the website here, if you just go down, we always in Silicon Valley like to talk about the problem first. What is the problem we're addressing, and what is the solution? So there's a few bullet points. You can expand on the bullet points and read through this very simple description as to how it works. Fundamentally, this is actually very simple technology. There's a lot in it, but for the user, it's actually very logical and very simple. A bunch of testimonials here. We position this as a fortified VPN to counter ourselves to the VPN industry. VPNs are an $80 to $90 billion industry today, and VPNs do absolutely nothing for your security. It's great for watching television stations in other countries, or if you've got a corporate network and you need offices connected, that's fine. But if I'm sitting in an internet cafe, or if I'm visiting China and I need to do something, it doesn't matter that the end of the pipe is in the USA. Everything comes through that VPN unfiltered. The email attachment with a keylogger attached, the JavaScript in my browser. I'm rebooking flights, rebooking hotels. I'm browsing. I'm in China. I'm looking at tourist sites. The JavaScript's now running in my machine. Everything comes through a VPN and is now executing locally in my lab, and it's going to be there forever. So VPNs do nothing. We position this as a fortified VPN because literally nothing gets out of this. It's a stream of pixels. It's an encrypted connection. It's a remote machine, and we've sidestepped the keyloggers. It's really, really pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay,
so there are two plans, and we're going to add a third plan to this in the coming weeks, which is Vanishing Point Ultra. Vanishing Point Lite for everyday use. It's $200 a year, or you can pay per quarter if you prefer. $200 a year. The limits for this are that if you're inactive for more than about 5 minutes, it will actually log you off. There is a real cost for us actually hosting these in places like Amazon, Equinix, Google, and other data centers. It's a real cost, so we have to take that into account. So if you're not really active and you're not paying much, then we'll log you off after 5 minutes. It also has a limit of an hour. And so if you do get logged off, you will lose your work in progress, and that can be irritating. Most of our customers run for the Vanishing Point Pro. This is $500 a year, has 4 times the compute power, 4 times the memory, has more applications, and doesn't log you off. It will run straight for 8 hours uninterrupted. So for a smooth, great experience where you can log in, set up your password managers, bring in your wallets, etc. You got all that work in progress. You don't want to lose it just because you get a phone call. So my recommendation would be the Vanishing Point Pro. What we're bringing in the coming weeks is Vanishing Point Ultra. That'll be priced at just under $1,000. The product is different in that it will also include storage. So in these products here, we don't provide permanent storage. You can drop something in there quite easily, click and drag. But the next version will allow you to actually keep that data. It's a really interesting new angle here because if we can store your data in an encrypted form that can never be deciphered other than with you coming in with your physical phone and with your proof of presence, your fingerprint, your Face ID, and your credentials, username, passwords. We've got effectively 3 factors of authentication here. When we know that it is you, we build a virtual machine and access your data. You can decrypt the data with those, effectively the keys that you're providing. And this is a decentralized protocol, I'll add. So there's another technology here, which we call MasterKey, which I haven't talked about today, but this is what enterprises use to provide passwordless authentication. And what's so clever about that product is there's no software or setup. It's invisible to the user. So invisible, passwordless, and multi-factor authentication in one step. Very cool tech. We're wrapping that into the Vanishing Point Ultra. So what it means is you'll end up having your own virtual data room you can store your own data files. You'll also be able to share that with other users. So you can set up a trusted network. And if I compare this to, say, a data room used for due diligence and very complex transactions where there's a lot of, or even let's say something simple like boardroom papers. If you're going to distribute the boardroom papers to the board members, you've got no control over whether one of your board members has accidentally shared his computer out with somebody from North Korea or somewhere. This is a graphical proxy. There is no attack surface on the device. And so we are sidestepping the weakness, or we've actually solved the weakness problem that exists in all data rooms where you cannot trust the user's PC. So it's a completely new angle. It looks the same, it's not the same, and it's far more secure. So that's an exciting addition. So yeah, 3 products in the range. I think probably 85%, 90% of people probably go for the Pro just so they don't get interrupted. And we've priced these deliberately. Our target, I will add, is just literally professionals. It's executives, it's business travelers, it's fiduciaries, trustees of trust accounts. And we've had these on here now for 10 years. We still have our very first customers. They use it every day for the last 10 years. So it's a product range that's actually, proven the test of time. I'll probably stop there. I'm talking too much.
So no, that's okay. It's all good. So friends that have tuned in, I have popped up a banner of the wallet, the VanishingPointSecurity.com, what am I calling it? My code, if you want to use that from today's
your affiliate
show.
code, yes.
My affiliate code, thank you. So I'll leave that up there, but I wanted to go, I've got a few more questions for you.
Yes.
Just around, like, I guess for the listeners that have stayed with us and are listening in, what are some of the fundamental principles of good security architecture that individuals or businesses should implement today? Maybe you could give us 2 or 3.
Yeah. So one of the things that when you are, in fact, I wasn't planning to do this, but I actually have a slide deck here. I'm going to just share a couple of slides. Funny, I had it there. This wasn't planned. You mentioned Whitfield Diffie. I'm just going to mention this. Whitfield Diffie is a legend. He created an algorithm about 30, 40 years ago called the Diffie-Hellman key exchange. This is the foundational algorithm for almost all internet security today. They estimate his algorithm secures $4 to $6 trillion each day. And he won the Turing Prize in 2015, which is the Nobel Prize of the computing industry. And I'm incredibly lucky to actually have him endorse our product, and as actually one of our shareholders in our company and an advisor. Let me talk about the problem in answer to your question. Most cybersecurity attacks target your PC and smartphone. What I want you to be aware of is when you see asterisks in the password field, this is purely a mask for the human sitting next to you. Any software in that browser, in that machine, this is clear text. And sometimes you'll see a little picture of an eye in the password field. If you click that, it actually shows you the password. So what this means, and a really key point here, if you're using a password manager, whilst the password manager keeps your data encrypted at rest, when you use it, it loads your password in decrypted form as clear text into that form. So password managers expose your credentials to malware. They can't not do it. This is not their fault. This is the way the browsers work. It's a foundational issue. And this is one of the things that we set out to fix in 2020 with our MasterKey product. We thought we were building a better password manager and discovered that we were actually inventing a way of doing passwordless authentication. That market turned out to be 40 times larger than the password management market. So the key point I want people to be aware of is, use a password manager for convenience. It's a good memory system, but it's not secure. don't put your banking passwords in there. Don't put passwords in there that really count. Just things that you can log into every day with a click, and so it's convenient.
I think another thing just with that too, Graeme, is if you leave your password manager open and then you are susceptible to being hacked and all those passwords being hacked.
Yeah, I would say, look, it's unlikely that a remote, somebody snooping is going to actually have control of your screen. I will tell you a twist in the tail, though. I was talking about this in a group some years ago, and one guy was boasting how no one was ever going to guess the key, the master password to his password manager. It was 48 characters long. And I'm thinking, mate, you've got no idea. It's going to take me a blink. I don't care what it is. I've just copied it. And then I've got access to your password manager and everything. And this is not hard. This is something that a high school student with ChatGPT will come up with in 15 minutes. In
so
20,
I guess,
go on.
I was just going to say, so with that, like many people unknowingly leave massive digital footprints online. So what are the most common ways that personal data is exposed? And if I can also bring you back to those two fundamental principles of good security architecture that people can implement.
There is an issue here, and I'm talking to people every day about this. Your medical records. I mean, in Australia, Australia's largest health insurer was hacked, and their private personal data records. And these were by Russian hackers. And what they did over the next few months was releasing celebrities and politicians' private personal medical data to the internet. I mean, it was shocking. How do you stop this? I mean, it's very hard. It's very difficult. I mean, what do you do? I mean, if organizations aren't securing your data at risk so it can be exfiltrated and used like that, I mean, this is a really big issue. There are ways of actually securing this, but the institutions are not adopting it quickly enough. The cyber threat here is, when I first entered the industry, as I said, we had our own inventions. We were just actually stepping backwards and stumbled into cybersecurity. We found our approach was unique and actually really valid. But the problem back in 2015 was a $500 billion problem, and that was colossal. And only a handful of years later, it was 12 times that. The last time we looked at the numbers, it was several years ago, it was $6 trillion and growing. So this is like watching this is the cost of cyber crime globally. So it's like watching a beach ball being blown up, where the circumference increases to the radius squared. It's exponential. The problem doesn't go away. It gets worse. I'll add that we're in a world now where we've also got artificial intelligence surveillance. So every device now, every smartphone, PC, whatever, tablet, has got artificial intelligence agents installed. And they are...
That was my last question for you today too. Like the future vision, like where do you see cybersecurity heading as we have AI, blockchain, digital identity systems like continuing to evolve? So nice segue, thanks.
Yeah, you've got these AI agents now. Their job is called client-side scanning. They're scanning for anomalies. They're learning what the types of attacks are out there. So, for example, if you're using Windows 11, every 7 seconds it takes a screen snapshot of what's on your screen, and then uses optical character recognition to scan it and kind of work out what's there. It does this continuously. Now, it's not exfiltrating that data back to head office at the moment, but you'll never know if they have a change in policy or something else comes through here. Microsoft's head of artificial intelligence, Mustafa Suleyman, his quote is, "We want our AI to be your closest friend. It's going to see what you see. It sees your screen. It has a camera. It will hear what you hear. It has a microphone. It will know what you know. So if you're doing a transaction with your cryptocurrency, you're entering in your, however you're doing this, you have no solution to this. There is no solution. So in a world that is now drowning in info stealer malware and artificial intelligence surveillance with no solution, Vanishing Point is the escape hatch.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's actually a great close, Graeme. You know, I don't have any questions from the audience unless anyone's. Let me just check my DMs in case someone sent me a direct message, but I don't think there are any specific questions for us today. But there might be questions that arise from this, I feel.
I'm sure.
Or people as they start to contemplate, wow, what does this mean for me? But it's been a fantastic conversation, and a huge thank you to you, Graeme, for joining us today and sharing your insights into Vanishing Point, but cybersecurity and the innovation of the future of digital identity protection. Because for me, these conversations are incredibly valuable as we continue to, navigate the increasingly complex digital landscape and the complexity of cybersecurity. So I really appreciate your time, your sponsorship, and the conversation. Thank you so much.
No problem. Look, I'll just finish. If anybody would like to try the technology, it's actually dead simple. If you're not happy with it, we have got a 7-day money-back guarantee. There's no risk. We don't want any unhappy customers. We only want happy customers. I will say that I'm just measuring the last 5 or 6 months. Not one customer has actually cancelled. So it's pretty good sign. So I just want to de-risk it for everybody. And if anybody needs to actually try this out themselves first, if you contact my team, myself, one of my team members will happily have a short session with you online. You can experience this in your own hands on your own computer within seconds.
Yeah, amazing. Did you want to put the website up one more time before we finish?
So it's just vanishingpointsecurity.com, but they should be clicking on your link, which has got the affiliate code. So don't follow my words. Follow the link and just click on that.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thank you again for your time today. And if you want to learn more about Vanishing Point and the work that Graeme is doing, please go to the website. Feel free to reach out to him on the website. Thank you to everyone who joined us live today, and to those who will be watching the replay. If you enjoyed it and liked this conversation, please share it with your network. It helps these important discussions reach more people. So until next time, this is Danella Draper, the Crypto Queen, and you've been watching the Crypto Queen Perspective. Take care, everyone.